due to popular demand, people will talk about breath meditation. Or before you come here, anybody got practice breath meditation? Yeah, like majority of the people, right? It's like popular kind of meditation. So might as well just cover a bit because this is a long lesson. So we might take 2 days to kind of cover it. Okay, so the breath meditation is not only used by the Buddha. The Buddha used the breath meditation to reach enlightenment. And there's so many schools or so many styles, so many systems. Some will say, breath is only for concentration lah, or breath is only for insight only lah. So I'll just present to you the Sutta's version. It has actually both spectrum. The breath meditation has the samatha aspect and also have the vipassana aspect. And I'll be using two suttas to cross-reference, right? So the first sutta, popularly known as the Anapanasati Sutta, there's the 16 steps of the breath meditation. We'll kind of cover more here. Can you see from the last person the words? Cannot see it? Okay, maybe you can shift forward. Or we shift the TV front a bit. Okay, so the first sutta talks about this Anapanasati Sutta, which is mindfulness of breathing. Yeah, we've covered like the mindfulness of the body, the 4 elements, the 32 parts. So now it's the breath. So we kind of cover like almost everything of the body. Okay, so the Buddha praised the breath meditation. Like earlier this morning, we talked about the impurities of the body meditation, right? This group of monks, they practice until commit suicide, and they overdo it. And the Buddha went to this Vesali, he gathered the surviving monks, those who didn't commit suicide, and asked them to do breath meditation. So a bit neutral, but like every meditation object, you can go to the extremes. Like one extreme, before the Buddha got enlightened, used the breath to torture himself. Now we breathe in, you don't want to breathe out, that kind of thing. Then of course that's towards aversion, to annihilation. And what is the other way? Towards greed. So you breathe in, breathe out, and greed also. So people use breath to, I don't know, like qigong, use breath to enhance their health, use breath to prolong their life and stuff like that. So that's other ways of practicing, not really the middle way. So today I present this sutta, which kind of gives the Buddhist version of the breath meditation. Okay, so one of the benefits is mindfulness of breathing can develop the 4 frames of reference. Okay, this is Ajahn Thanisaro's translation. 4 frames of reference means 4 foundation of mindfulness. Mindful of body, feeling, minds, and dhamma. So some people think, I breathe, how can be mindful of so many things? It's actually everything. Like we mentioned previously, whatever we place our attention in, all the 5 aggregates will be there. All 5 aggregates will be there. So including our breath. Okay. Then this one. And if you develop the 4 foundation of mindfulness to the fullest, or to quite an extent, it will trigger these 7 factors of awakening. 7 factors of awakening, which is our theme of this retreat. So, having experienced some 7 factors of awakening, still not yet awakened. You need to further develop these 7 factors of awakening until you reach release, clear knowing and release. Right. So that's the map. That's our spiritual map. Okay. So the Buddha gives the guideline of the breath meditation. So it's not just to breathe in, breathe out, and that's it. No, got lots of things to develop. You need to develop all these 4 foundation, mindfulness, then develop 7 factors of awakening, then eventually reach liberation. So using the breath as a tool, the breath itself cannot bring a person to enlightenment. We are making use of the breath. A lot of the work is the contemplation towards the breath. So it's working on the mind actually. Okay, so first talks about the physical setup. Physical setup. Okay, gone to wilderness. So you come to Brahmavihara, not too like a city kind of area. Maybe can fulfill the condition, wilderness. To the shade of a tree, empty building. So these are some of the recommended places. So now you come for retreat, a lot of people, right? So the idea of this is to have less disturbances. If you have a lot of like at home, lots of like non-practitioner living with you, then they might not know that you need silence. They turn on the TV loudly, they turn on the radio loudly, then you have all these issues. So the so-called benefit of seclusion is to not have too much distraction first. Not too much distraction first. But if you are a skilled meditator, busy environment also can meditate. Inside the bus, on the train, people talking, cars moving, plane flying around, still can meditate, no problem. So it's about first familiarizing with the technique. Once you're familiar, then any place also can meditate. Okay, so for breath meditation, I must sit down. Or something stationary. Like the Buddha, he lie down also can. Lie down and watch the breath meditation. So ideally, it's supposed to be stationary. Like the previous ones we did, impurities of the body and the 4 sublime states, you can do multitask. You can do it when sitting, standing, walking, lying down. So the breath are a bit more specialized. You need to sit down, right? So one of the disadvantages. Okay, then if you sit down, make sure the body is upright. If you do not have back injury, then do not lean on the chair because you lean too comfortable, confirm, enter a different kind of samadhi, dream world samadhi. Okay, then this one, setting mindfulness to the fore in front of you. So like, for example, the loving kindness meditation, the mindfulness or the awareness is all directions. So we expand the mind. Or if we think of 32 parts of the body, impurities of the body is within you. Within you. But this one, mindfulness to the fore, so in front of you. Okay, so this is the complicated part. So now they're showing the 16 steps of breath meditation. Sounds like very complicated. So I'll try to simplify a bit for you. So the 16 you can divide by 4 because you need to develop 4 foundations of mindfulness. So 4 steps is for the body, 4 steps for feeling, 4 steps for mind, and 4 steps for the Dhamma. So total 16 steps. Okay, so the first 4 should be quite easy. Okay, so these are the first 4 steps. First step is when breathe in long and breathe out long, you must know. So that's the first step. Second step is if you breathe in short, breathe out short, you also must know. So that's the second step. Okay, so for the first 2 steps, already got lots of different interpretations. Some people say must purposely control your breathing. You must breathe in long, breathe out long, and breathe in short, breathe out short. You must control. Right? So in my routine, don't need to control. Don't need to control. Let it be your natural reflex action. Natural reflex action. Some places even, or some other system, when breathe in, breathe out must make noise. You heard of this tradition before? I have. Some tradition must make noise. If you don't make noise, means you're sleeping. That is their that is their interpretation. So at least got some physical effort. So give them credit. So in our routine, the in and out breath reflex. This is for your info. Okay, so when I breathe, okay, he trains himself. I breathe in sensitive to entire body, breathe out sensitive to entire body. Okay, so for number 3, subject to interpretation. What is this breath body? What is this breath body? Some people say the breath body is here, the one small area where you feel the area of the in and out breathing. Some people say here, some people say the whole body. So which one? Option A, B, or C. Okay, to me, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can feel here, can feel here, or feel the whole body. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. For example, some people want to feel one small area here. In fact, the method which I learned from this system under this late Venerable Amata Gavesi, they also watch here. They watch here. Then they develop the mind and so on. So I'm used to here also. But then, if you're more veteran, or let's say if you want to play safe, sometimes you might think, COVID already, must put on mask. You put on mask, how to watch? Cannot watch, the air all blocking, right? Or if let's say emergency, or let's say you need to, the doctor need to give you some treatment, sometimes they shove lots of tube into your nose line, into your mouth, or put the oxygen mask. And you cannot watch your breath already, right? Cannot watch already. So you need alternative plan, plan B. So if you cannot watch here, you can watch other place. Other place of the body also got inhalation, exhalation. So you feel here or you feel whole body. So you have alternate plan. Because ultimately, we are not training the breath. We are not training the breath. It's not like when we breathe in, we train the breath, then the breath can turn into something. No. We're actually training the mind, the attitude towards the breath. So that's the main point. Okay, so number 4 is like the KPI, the result. So the first thing you need to do is when you breathe in, breathe out, must count bodily fabrication. What is bodily fabrication? Bodily fabrication is, let's say, if you sit down here, will there be a lot of things affecting you? Have right here pain, there itchy, there tension, wind blow, a lot of things affecting you. The mind will tend to react with a lot of stimuli. So all these stimuli of the body, we call this bodily fabrication. Bodily fabrication. So the first objective of the breath, the first 4 steps is to breathe in, breathe out, and watch your so-called breath body until you can ignore the other disturbances. You can totally ignore the other disturbances or minimalize the disturbances. So that is the idea. So we call this calming bodily fabrication. If you sit down, still can, I want to move here, move there, still not yet calm down. Not yet calm down. Calm down means you at peace already. At peace already. Okay, so to supplement this, some people think, how? I just watch in breath, out breath. Got a lot of other things to disturb you, got thoughts and a lot of other things, right? Okay, so we have this incentive, mindfulness of breathing. Okay, so there's an incentive to keep your mind to the breathing and not to some other thing else. A lot of other things interesting, stray thoughts maybe the people talking outside the conversation very interesting So a lot of things to interest you. So we have incentive, which is pleasant feeling. Pleasant feeling. So up to this point, it's still a very samatha meditation. So number 5, breathe in, breathe out, sensitive to pleasure. Yeah. Rapture and pleasure. These are the 2 emotions. Rapture and pleasure. Not yet jhanas. Not yet jhanas. So this in and out breath, to facilitate the breath to be more pleasant, we are using the same loving kindness. Breathe in, reach the breath well. Breathe out, wish the breath happy. So you make the breath pleasant. So a lot of people fighting and struggling with the breath, want to control the breath, want to make the breath do not make the mind run here and there. So they focus and focus and force. Very stressful, very suffering. So to ease the mind, not to make it so suffering, we use loving kindness. So this is part of right thought. Loving kindness, overcome aversion. Okay, number 7 and number 8 will be very interesting. You need to be mindful, number 7, mindful of mental fabrication. So earlier on, we talked about bodily fabrication, which is the reaction to the body. So mental fabrication, you need to be mindful of the mind, mental activities, the mind. Okay, so there's lots of ways to detect this activity of the mind. So one way to detect the mind is the mind will manifest in a form of tension or a kind of mental energy, a form of tension. So we call this craving formations. They are mental formations due to craving. So these will come in form of tension. So for example, if a person watch entertainment, example, TV show, program, lots of interesting movie on the TV, the mind is focused at one point. Agree? But does that mean the mind is unified? Does that mean the mind is settled down? No, not just settled down, right? The mind is a lot of thinking, a lot of craving, very excited. So you need to be aware of this excitement. You must know how this excitement, this state of mind feel like. So the more you watch the in and out breath, you wish it well and happy, you calm the mind down. You must know how the calming process is like. So this is the mental fabrication. So like in the same previous 2 meditation objects that we taught, calming the mind, so the mind will settle down to a certain place. The mind will calm down and settle to a certain place. So this settling process is the calming, calming of mental fabrication. Pointer doesn't work on the screen, so never mind. So calming down of mental fabrication. You need to calm the mind. So for the retreat participant down here for the few days already, who still cannot feel the mind coming down? Who cannot observe the mind coming down at all? All can, right? All can feel the mind. Okay, some cannot feel the mind coming down, but must be honest, must let me know. Who cannot feel at all? Cannot differentiate between excited mind and a calm mind, cannot differentiate. Or cannot observe the process from excitement to calming. Okay, still have a few. Okay, never mind. That means you still need to work on observing. Okay, so if the rest who can, then you proceed on to the next step. For those who cannot, then never mind. Continue to we call it sharpen this awareness, sharpen this mindfulness. Okay, so once you're able to be mindful and be sensitive to the mind, that's number 9. Okay, you need to satisfy the mind. Satisfy the mind. Okay, so a few more steps. Okay, so from 9 to 12, step 9 to 12, still a bit samatha meditation. That means, I give an example. What does this mean? What is satisfying the mind? And what is this steadying the mind? Okay, I give an example of muddy water. Muddy water. You have heard the term of sedimentation before? Sedimentation means you leave the water alone, then the sand or the soil will settle down. Then on top we have the clear water, right? Then bottom will have the sand, something like that. Okay. So what this means, you need to be aware when the mind settles down at time, you have to understand the settling process and differentiate between the clear mind and the so-called rubbish mind, the craving mind. So the settling mind, we call it the craving formations. craving formations. And then the one that you're aware with is a different thing. I will talk about it next time. Huh? Okay, but when you talk about steadying the mind, when the mind settles down to your current maximum level. So everybody have a different place where the mind settles down. So for your own reference, you just know that if the mind cannot settle any further, you keep on wishing it well, happy, wishing it well, happy, the rate of settling cannot settle anymore. You settle to a certain point. Then this is called steadying the mind. And you just keep on stay there, wishing the breath well and happy, and this mind will be like constantly like that. The settled mind will be constantly in that position. So we call it steadying the mind. Steadying the mind. Okay. And once you let it calm in a certain position for a while, there's this interesting step. Nobody talks about this at all. Seldom people talk about this. Releasing the mind. So if you calm down the mind, it will have a bit like a potential energy, like a spring. You let it calm down like a spring. And once you release, the spring will jump. So this is the instruction to so-called enter the jhanas, enter the different levels of concentration. So we'll talk more about this tomorrow. But for today, we just talk about the vipassana aspect only. So the last one is mindfulness of the Dhamma, which is the insight aspect. Mindful of impermanence. Okay, so 13 to 16 talks about you breathe in, breathe out, mindful of impermanence. So you keep on doing that, impermanence or inconstancy, whatever term you want to use, rising, falling, impermanence, birth and death, just pick your favorite word and just keep on repeating. So once you keep on doing this, you find, very sian already, this thing like, nothing worth to cling on to. So we call it dispassion. Dispassion. Yeah. Then the next one, if your craving reduce, we call this cessation. Cessation. If the craving reduce, cessation. So earlier on, there's a craving formation, right? Then this cessation is a different set of craving. We have three kinds of craving: greed, hatred, delusion. Three kinds of craving. So loving kindness will settle down. One kind of craving, aversion craving. This one reduces the greed and attachment craving, greed and delusion craving. So this one will help to seize this craving further. So for this cessation, there is no maximum level. It goes on and on until the maximum level is until Nibbana. So that is the maximum level. So this is cessation. So cessation, you need to keep traveling, keep letting go, and keep detaching, and see how far you can go. So the more you detach, the more you seize this craving, you get more and more peaceful. Okay. Focus on relinquishment. Relinquish means you don't want it back. In a way, you kind of like enjoy this seizing process. A lot of times people don't relinquish, they reacquire. I like my sensual world. So after you seize, then come back to square one, and you reacquire. You reacquire everything back. So that's the most meditators' common symptom. So when a person so-called experience this one, cessation, dispassion and cessation, this is part of the 7 factors of awakening. So if a person practice mindfulness of breathing, which is number 1, or mindfulness of any meditation object, then number 2, investigation on Dhamma, which is we are using impermanence. So we keep on mindful impermanence. Then number 3, energy means do not stop. Continue put your effort. Impermanence all the way. It's not impermanence 1 second. Impermanence 1 second, then later on your mind go back to stray thought. Like you listen to me, yeah, this Dhamma teacher makes sense. So you think of 1 second makes sense. Agree with me 1 second. Then the next moment, okay, back to square one. Back to planning, worrying, daydreaming, whatever. So doesn't work like that. So it requires effort. So the example I always like to give is, ancient days, or even now, survival skill when people want to go to the forest and start a fire, they use dry sticks, right? They use dry sticks. Then they keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing until fire happens. So this effort is like that, this energy. Keep rubbing until the fire happens. A lot of time people just turn one time. Nothing happened. Not enough friction, not enough heat. No result. So every time you generate one right thought, you turn one time only. Not good enough. So we gave the example earlier this morning, mindfulness on the contemplation of death. Every moment, every in and out breath, mindful of this, death will happen, death will happen. So same for the breathing. The kind of impermanence that we're talking about is every in and out breath, which is, now we're talking about breath meditation, every in and out breath. When you accompany with every in and out breath, then the rubbing will be consistent. Yeah, if not, you just think one time, then you stray off. You can do this forever. Some people claim, okay, I sit for hours, but never experience anything. I practice for many years, never experience anything. It depends on how much you rub. Yeah, you rub one time, then you can just chill for a few hours. No fire is going to start. Yeah, no fire is going to start. So you need to keep rubbing. Okay. And the symptoms of this smoke or fire happening or sparks happening is number 4, rapture. So if there's real detachment from impermanence, then rapture should arise naturally. You cannot fake it. You cannot force it out. So a sudden surge or rapture will arise. And this rapture is temporarily. It's not like you can maintain it. So the more you think of impermanence, this rapture will disappear. So it's a chain reaction. It disappear, and that disappearance, we call it tranquility. The lack of excitement, so it becomes tranquil. And if you pursue this impermanence and letting go, you'll enter samadhi, concentration. So this concentration is not the same as jhanic concentration, different. This one is insight concentration. Insight concentration. That means the more you keep doing, reflecting impermanence, you only get one emotion later on, which is equanimity. No matter how much you do, it's always equanimity from there on. Unless you reacquire your clinging, your craving level go up, then you might need to start all over again. You might need to start this investigation of Dhamma, then rapture. You need to restart again. So these 7 factors is a roller coaster. Roller coaster. You can only trigger the rapture if there is clinging. If let's say you're pretty detached, your craving level is low, then it's either tranquility or equanimity. So that's the 7 factors. Okay, so I'll stop here for today because I'm going to share too long. Tomorrow we'll share more, because you might have overload, brain overload. Okay, any questions at this point?
That is highly different from...
Entirely different. Nimitta is a different samadhi. We'll talk about it in future lessons. Nimitta is a different kind of samadhi to develop divine eye or higher knowledge. Yeah, so that in that particular system, I believe they require the practitioner to see past lives. So that is their requirement, to see light. So in our routine, don't need to see. Don't need to see. Not everybody is ready to see. In order to know whether you're ready to see, like I mentioned, you need to check your internet search history. If your internet search history is full of nonsense or entertainment, then forget about seeing past life. You end up, you see the thing, then you want to change channel, want to see more entertaining thing. Hey, my past life, where I keep all my treasure? What's my password for my asset, where they keep? Then you have all these issues, a lot of sidetracking. So we try to avoid this. Yeah. Okay. So light is optional. For example, some people may see light because they may have some divine eye potential, maybe. So they see the mind in terms of brightness. They see the mind in terms of brightness. So if you happen to see light, and if you're following my routine, ignore the light. Ignore the light. Ignore the light first. So then we can focus more on detachment. Because if you're pursuing the light, then it becomes a different thing. Different thing already. Then you may not be able to feel the form jhana factors, the difference, or even the vipassana part. Right?
Like talking about sort of like
Yeah.
just ignore it.
Ignore, yeah. So in my routine, ignore. So for those who cannot see, very good, don't see. Very good, don't see. Okay.
Just now, number 5, the feeling there's a rapture.
Yeah.
And also the 7 factor enlightenment.
Yeah. Also different. Not yet. Yeah. So these terms are a bit hard to this experience are very hard to put into words because there are many different degrees of happiness, different degree of rapture, totally different. So in order to make clear, there's another sutta the Buddha tried to differentiate. He called this the Niramisa Sutta, otherworldly sutta, otherworldly kind of emotions. So we have the worldly kind of pleasure. Worldly, that means your favorite ice cream, your favorite music. You have certain pleasure, from sense pleasure. So there's one category of pleasure. Then the Buddha said, if a person enter, let's say the jhanas, then he call it the otherworldly pleasure, beyond worldly pleasure. It's a different kind of pleasure, not the same as your sensual pleasure. And if a person experience, right, detachment and liberation, they call it beyond unworldly kind of pleasure. So there are 3 categories. So at this point, still not yet jhanas. It's just a nice feeling of the breath. Nice feeling of the breath to give yourself incentive for the mind to gather.
This method that I using here is not going
Later on, going to jhanas. It's part of this one. Step 12, releasing the mind. So that's going to jhanas. So I'll explain it tomorrow. So tonight we'll just be settling the mind down until steadying the mind, and then we go to do vipassana. For tonight we'll do this only. Because the jhana part need a lot of explanation. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Yes.
The guided meditation.
Yeah.
During the session, it's quite alright.
Okay.
I just follow it.
All right. Okay.
But then after when you do the self practice, seems to be quite a lot of things you mentioned. So when reading, sometimes I
Okay.
and sometimes I read that now comes in place, right?
Okay.
So that's from there.
Okay. Can. All right. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah. So a lot of technicalities, too many steps. So to simplify for you, any meditation object you do, the first part to wish the object well and happy is to calm down the mind. And if you want to get insight, just think of impermanence. 2 steps. Good? Okay, can, yeah. Very simplified, yes.
forward with the material presentation is inside.
Yes, it's in the QR code.
You scan the QR code.
Yep. Don't need to copy notes, I just scan the QR code. Any other issues? Any questions? Yeah.
Yes, bro, I think I stay at very serene, very peaceful. But how to train to
Mm.
time to start?
Okay. Are you doing the samatha phase or the vipassana phase? Still samatha phase. Okay. Yeah. So again, depending on what you're doing, if let's say you want to focus on the samatha first, then you do step 12. I learn how to release the mind to the different levels of these so-called levels of jhanas. And whenever you're ready, then you switch to impermanence. You can think of impermanence. Okay, yeah. So I'll explain more tomorrow because this step requires you to cycle. It's a recycle. It's just like changing gears of a car. Changing gears of a car. If a person enters the first level concentration, the first gear, you need to accelerate to a certain speed before you change the next gear, right? So the same thing for the jhana, something like that. You need to calm the mind to a certain degree, then you can go to the next level. Then you need to calm again to a certain degree and go to the next level. Something like that. So it's a cycle process between, this 9 to 12 is it's a recycling process. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, we are going to try the Vipassana version of this breath meditation first, and tomorrow we'll talk more on the other aspects. Okay, so we're going to find ourselves a comfortable sitting position, right? Make sure your back's upright and your attention is to the floor in front of you. So we're going to first identify your breath body. That means the area of attention where you want to feel the in and out breathing. Because once you choose that particular spot, then you kind of need to stay there like throughout the whole routine. Do not jump here, jump there. So area number 1 could be below the nostril, above the upper lip. So that is one possible area. And if let's say you don't want to feel that area for whatever reason, nose block la, wear mask la, then you can use option number 2, maybe at the diaphragm. So when breathe in, breathe out, there should be some movement, or your chest. Breathe in, breathe out, right? The entire rib cage, that also works. Or option number 3, the entire body. And breathe in, breathe out, any movement, or even the circulation, blood circulation, heart pumping throughout the whole body, that also counts. Yeah? Okay, so once you have identified which breath body you want to select, then we are going to be letting your in and out breath happen naturally. It can be long or short, doesn't matter. We don't need to control, but we need to accompany it with the right thought. Every inhalation, we wish the breath well. Every exhalation, we wish the breath happy. So in this breath meditation, you need to multitask. You need to observe the breath. You need to observe the state of mind. So right now, we still consider it as a scattered mind. So breathe in, breathe out. You need to observe the calming process. Inhale well, exhale happy. And for those who are maybe a bit sharper in the mindfulness, one inhalation, you can feel multiple changes in the elements, and you go for the higher count. The more right thoughts, the better. But the minimum rate is inhalation well, exhalation happy. Anything slower than that is not rubbing the stick, not creating enough friction. So this is totally sensation of the in and out breath. Do not use your eyes to stare or see anything. No need to visualize anything also. Continue inhale well, exhale happy. Okay, so for those who have so-called reached your uh, maximum settling level, we call it steadying the mind. Continue to wish the in and out breath well and happy. So we let the others continue to settle down. So regardless what happened, no matter how calm or how turbulent, keep carrying on the journey with in and out breath well and happy. Don't need to intellectualize. Breathe in well, breathe out happy. Okay, for those who are familiarized with this settling of the mind, or you can feel the mind settling down to your current maximum level, and we are going to think of impermanence. So we just change the label. So breathe in, breathe out the same, and we can change the label to impermanence, or any word or phrase associated with impermanence. You can use rising and falling, birth and death. Just pick your favorite and keep repeating. So emphasis is rubbing the sticks. Even got fire start, just keep rubbing. Keep on labeling impermanence. So the same thing, no matter how peaceful, how calm, or how turbulent, just keep on reflecting impermanence, keep labeling impermanence. If you can synchronize with the breath, good. If you cannot synchronize, doesn't matter. Okay, so I see some people start to doze off already. So we can be mindful impermanence all the time while we end the formal session. Informally still can keep generating right thought. Huh? Okay, so this is just a short sample, so require more practice. When the conditions are right, you keep on rubbing consistently, then it takes a short time to start the fire. But if you just rub once, you can do it forever, you can't start any fire. Huh?